This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, let's get to it, baby. Let's get to our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes post-game report with, of course, the one and only Manny Navarro. Manny?
What's going on, guys?
I got to tell you, listen, man, I know it wasn't perfect. They made their mistakes. They hung in there, man. I got to give them credit. Listen, I didn't pick them to win. I didn't expect them to win. I told everybody take North Carolina in the points. I had no idea why Vegas picked them. So I'm not going to sit here and act surprised that North Carolina won. But overall, yeah, did they have chances? Could they have avoided some mistakes? Yeah, but I got to say they hung in there at least, man. I got to give them a little credit for hanging in there.
I agree with you 100%. No, I mean, I think ultimately here, this is a tough game to swallow because it's the same mistakes that beat them, right? You give up the big play. You get in the red zone, you can't punch it in. You lose a fumble. Jalen Knighton, second game in a row, he loses a fumble and then drops, right, at different opportunities where you could have made a play and you just, brain slippage, so to speak. So, it is what it is, man. They're 2-3. I was worried this was going to be much worse. Oh, you and I talked about it. I thought North Carolina would have won this game by 2 touchdowns. And in the end, they showed me something in terms of not quitting on Mario and quitting on the season. And the one thing I'll say is, yes, North Carolina won today. Yes, North Carolina has the tiebreaker over Miami. But just look at the Coastal Division, right? Georgia Tech's won 2 games now. Anything can happen. And I'm not saying Miami's going to turn their season around and run the table now. I still think this is a flawed team. But I would say this. I don't think 4-8 or 5-7 is going to happen anymore. And that was my fear, that they would emotionally break down in the locker room and just quit. And today, at least, they showed me that's not in the cards for them. That's not the team that they want to be.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Thanks for coming on, Manny. Other than what Coach was talking about in the post game and talking about mistakes and everything like that, what kind of sense do you get from, I don't know who else spoke in the post game, other players or what have you, but yeah. Coach looks like he ran a mile before getting to the podium. He looked like he was on one.
Yeah.
Are the guys down? Because as a fan, you look at the game, I kind of feel like how I did after A&M. It's like, even though it's the same thing, it's a loss. It's like they're right there. Do you get that sense from the players, or are they like, man, when are we going to figure it out? How are we going to figure it out? Is it more of an up team or a down team right now?
Yeah, I mean, that was my number one concern too, man. Like I that was my question to all 3 players that spoke. I was in there for Tyler, I was in there for DJ Ivey, I was in there for Will Mallory, those 3 guys. And then somebody else came in, but I left because I wanted to come on and talk to you guys. My feeling is like I said, the locker room hasn't given up. Now, are they going to be able to get up, for every single game going forward? Are they going to play this way? I don't know. Injuries happen, transfers happen, guys become selfish, right? But right now, in this moment, I don't get the sense from Tyler or any of those guys. I asked all 3 of them, do you get the sense this locker room's going to fall apart? And the answer was no. Our guys are together. And I think, again, Miami was 2-4 last year. This is the 3rd time since 2019 they've started 2-3. They fought back and made bowl games each of those seasons. I think that was my number one concern after what I saw against Middle Tennessee State. This team's going to quit. Everybody's going to separate. There's going to be transfers because that's what these kids do nowadays, right? They think about themselves. I think right now, leaving the stadium, my opinion is that's not going to happen with this group.
Manny, there were a slew of recruits there, a ton of them. We talked about this in the pregame show, and we talked about it with Gabby. If it was a respectable loss, which I have to call this a respectable loss, I don't think it was going to hurt recruiting. Now a disgusting loss, that might have crippled recruiting there, and you might have had some kids running out of the building pretty much. So what are you hearing, and what do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I haven't had a chance to talk to any of the recruits yet, but I did talk to Larry Bluestein before the game. And Larry, of course, is just as plugged in as anybody here in South Florida when it comes to, recruiting and so forth. And we talked about it pregame. He said, look, in his opinion, the majority of the kids are saying, I want to go to Miami because I feel like I can go in and play right away. And that matters to a lot of the kids. I don't know what Gabby told you guys pregame, but I think the feeling, my experience as well, is as long as it's not an embarrassing defeat, right? As long as it's not something that makes them feel like the program is lost and the players feel like, hey, I can come in and help. I think that helps Miami. So I think as long as there's no more Middle Tennessees on this schedule, right? No more losses to bad teams, and they show up and they play the way they're supposed to, then I think you'll get buy-in from the recruits.
Well, hey, next week, brother, Vatek, that's a terrible team.
Yep.
You better win that game. And you know
I
what?
agree.
You're not going at nighttime where everybody's liquored up in Blacksburg and all that good stuff. Nah, it's a 12:30 game. They haven't been able to drink a lot of moonshine. You got to take advantage of it, bro.
I agree 1,000%. I'll be going up to Blacksburg for that game, so I'll be up there to see and gauge the temperature pregame. But again, my feeling coming out of this, the fact that they fought back in the second half, right, and the fact that down 21-7, that to me was such a key moment. That drive where Tyler led them down the field, threw the touchdown pass to Henry Parrish in the end zone, where you had a guy draped all over him. Mm-hmm. That score, and then the pick right after. It was like, okay, they got this jolt of energy. My feeling, okay, my fear always is the broken locker room, and I think as long as they can avoid that, then they're going to get better, and they should win some games, because I do think the coaching is better. I think we could sit here and criticize Kevin Steele, right, and say, hey, why are you still giving up 74-yard touchdown passes? Why are they still hitting on 52-yard posts over the middle? Why aren't guys covering what they're supposed to cover? They shut down a pretty good quarterback after that. After they got to 21, I mean, 2 field goals, 2 interceptions. They kind of got their act together.
The 2 interceptions is double what he threw so far going into the game.
Correct. And so, look, is North Carolina a playoff team? No. Is North Carolina going to win the ACC? No. But they're one of the better teams in this conference. You've lost 3 in a row to them, 4 in a row now. They're not a bad team. Mac Brown's a good coach. They've got a good staff. They've got talent. They're the 3rd most talented team in the conference based on what the recruiting rankings tell you.
Hey Manny, one of the things that I told Mike in the pregame, I said, you know why I fear this game? Well, just look what's going on the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Is it Miami's quarterback in the NFL?
No.
Is it Miami's running backs in the NFL? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Like North Carolina is starting to produce more players going in the NFL than Miami. And here we go, freshman quarterback coming into town, and you're like, they got another one. Yep. It's like, and the pregame guy that we had on, he was like, everybody said that he would be better than Howell. And people were like, you're crazy. How's May going to be better than Howell? And sure enough, he's been better than Howell. And that's why you have to respect him, dude, because they're actually getting better talent than Miami, and that's where Mario has to get back to. He has to get back to bringing the elite players here.
Yeah, and look, recruiting, the only way you're going to change things here is by recruiting not just talented players, but hungry players that hate losing and don't want to accept it. Like, hey, this is going to kill me. I'm going to be angry over this for a week until we win a game, until we start to get things right. And, that's just in the DNA of guys, and ultimately Mario has to recruit his own players here to get them to start playing the way that he wants them to play, to show the kind of attitude that he wants them to show consistently. So we'll see.
Manny, you're not allowed to be patient on this show. Sorry, just letting you know that's frowned upon. But look, to your point about Steele adjusting, you said it. You backed up what I said. He allowed 6 points in the second half after allowing 21 points in the first half. That first touchdown of the game for UNC, that came after a play in which, Kevin Steele dialed up. James Williams was in the hole, in the box, filled his lane, missed a tackle, didn't wrap up. It's things like that. And then, a 74-yard touchdown after that. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, made a good point. Like, if you have Mallory as your leading, pass catcher, I don't think that's so much of a terrible thing, but it is if you don't have – it makes it easier for the defense to zero in on you if your playmakers on the outside aren't being playmakers on the outside. We all knew Gaddis was a tight ends guy who was going to cater to the tight ends, and, he liked using tight ends as a weapon. But with Arroyo being out, I thought we'd see a little bit more of Brantley. They didn't. But can you kind of, just your reaction about that? Mallory going 8 for 15. Yeah, the big drop, but he had probably his best game as a Cane.
Yeah, I tweeted out that he ate his Wheaties because he looked like a different guy, man. He really did. He looked like so motivated to really do well. Yeah. And listen, Will's a super nice kid. I hope he does he continues to have the kind of season he has tonight, the rest of the season. Will he be that guy consistently? I don't know. I've never really seen him be that consistent. I hope he does. And I don't think it matters who catches the ball as long as Tyler Van Dyke is having the kind of night that he had tonight, where he's putting up numbers and the offense is moving down the field. Now, look, I thought Gaddis called a good game except for 4 plays, okay, in the red zone. That was horrific. I think outside of that.
Wait a minute. The 4th and 2, where Dyke is in a shotgun, and you're like, yo, and he's waiting for a play to develop. What play did you call? Because it was short. It should be snap and throw, and you're waiting, and you end up getting the sack in midfield. And I'm wondering, what play call did they make? And listen, kudos to them, Manny, because they were aggressive today. They took some chances on 4th down several times. So I give them props for, hey, man, we can't screw around. If we got an opportunity, we need to, take advantage, because we don't get a lot of points in the first place.
Right. No, look, 5 plays then. I'll throw that one in there as well. You got to hit the slant on that and just get rid of the ball quickly and just pick up the first down. Outside of that, though, look, he made the adjustments for TVD. Okay, he did. He let him run a more of a spread tempo offense, like we all were saying he needed to do. Right. The bottom line is they're just not having success running the football, and that's a problem that they've got to fix now. And look, it looks like Justice Oluwashun has a serious injury. He's your starting right guard. Ja'Kai Clark came back, was on the sideline in the second half, even though he was knocked out of the game. I don't think that injury is as severe, but you're going to have a new starter on the offensive line. Zion Nelson's going to have to come back here at some point. They need him to play one of those tackle spots. You can kick DJ Scaife inside. So I think that'll help the running game when Zion comes back. But, look, 41 yards rushing today. I think they had 43 or something like that against Middle Tennessee State. 1.9 yards rushing. That has to change here in the weeks ahead. They've got to be able to run the ball.
I just wanted to say something really quick. Manuel Soto, do you know what USC brought with them? They brought with them Caleb Williams, which is the same guy that coached under him. I'm sorry, coached was being, what the hell am I? You got me so pissed off that I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Go look up Caleb Williams, okay? And stop saying that USC turned their program around when Caleb Williams was at Oklahoma last year. And they probably have the best receiver in college football. Thank you, sir.
And by the way, Manny, just to kind of piggyback on what you were talking about, and I'm not here to defend Gaddis because I'm kind of critical of him, but in his defense also, hard to run an offense when you have no threats on the outside, hard to run an offense when you can't run the ball, because it's so obvious that you've got to be a passing team. Because, dude, look, I mean, you average less than 2 yards a carry today against a terrible defense.
Well, listen, North Carolina's got athletes, okay? It's not like this was
Middleton. I know, but they're not a good defense. They're just not a good defense.
They've had 2 games in a row that weren't bad. And to me, look, the other guys get paid to coach too, right? I mean, Gene Chiswick's won a national championship as a coach. He had a terrible start to the season, with this UNC group. But he's got a lot of young guys. I broke down their defense and analyzed it, before the Virginia Tech game. I mean, they've got 4- and 5-star guys, but a lot of them are in their first or second year. So it's kind of like, okay, when do those guys turn the corner? I think tonight, look, it's predictable that Miami can only run certain things with this offense because of their personnel. So they've got to get creative and figure out different ways to run the football. Do I know what that is? No. But just Josh Gaddis' job now to fix that. I think, number one, he fixed the passing game, right? He fixed Tyler Van Dyke. He put some confidence in him. He allowed him to throw some short passes, quick passes, get into a role, develop a rhythm. He fixed that problem. Now he's got to get the running game fixed here in the weeks ahead. I think Virginia Tech's almost the perfect opponent, right? I mean, this is a team that's they've been crushed now 2 or 3 weeks in a row. They just gave up 300 yards rushing to Pitt's star running back at 6 touchdowns. So to me, it's a progression. Miami was the worst rushing team in the ACC last year. Okay, let's not forget that. They were dead last in rushing. Yes, they played well the first couple games, but that was Southern Miss and Bethune-Cookman, right? And so, again, it's one of these deals. Guys are banged up. You don't have Zion Nelson. I'm not looking to make excuses for the guy, but I just think it's sort of like you have to put out one fire and then move on to the next. And right now, the most important fire that needed to be put out was that you got Tyler Van Dyke playing at a high level again. And as long as that's happening, you have a chance to win every game.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Catch his work at The Athletic. Make sure you subscribe to The Athletic. Manny, as always, appreciate you, my brother. We will catch you again on Tuesday night for the State of Florida Gridiron Roundtable, my friend. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Take care. Good talking to you.
You got it. There you go. Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes post-game report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.